everybody. I want to give a special shout out to Jake on the intro to these videos. It's phenomenal. It's inspired by The Office. Really, really good work there. But as we get started today, we wanted to jump into talking about how to choose the right fit for you. And I think this is really important for us to tell everybody, right? If you get one thing out of this video, it is so important for us to start here that we want to find the best fit for you. And it is so hard to differentiate that from the best school or the best options that are out there. And this can go a couple different ways, but I think from a coaching staff perspective, we want you guys to all know that we would love for you to all attend the best school out there, whether that be swimming or academics or the combination thereof. And I think it's really easy. And I'll just go ahead and point out like Cal, Stanford, Texas, Virginia, just throw those top swimming schools out there. They're obviously top academic schools. We would love for you to set your goals to swim there, but it's not realistic because there's simply a limited number of spots available at those schools. There's only going to be 8 to 10 freshmen in their class at most. So we know that it's not possible for everybody to be there. And so we want to also balance that idea of you dreaming big to go there with something that's very realistic to go where you're going to fit well. And when we say fit, what we mean is you're going to go to a school where when you're done with your college experience, because it will end for everybody, that you will look back and have a positive athletic experience in which you contributed to a team, you've grown in all the ways that athletics helps you grow, mostly outside of the pool, that you get an academic mission accomplished, whatever that might be. Maybe it's getting ready for grad school, maybe it's getting an undergrad degree and getting a job, whatever it is, and that you have an experience that you're proud of and you look back on and you have some pride in how you went through it. You're fulfilled in that. So that's what we want by a best fit. It does not mean that you went to the best school possible and you suffered for 4 years and you toughed it out and you were gritty and you didn't get to travel at all and you didn't really contribute to the team and you may have fought with the coaches or didn't really agree with what they were doing all the time. And academically, you signed up for the best program, but you really didn't like it that much, but you did it anyways because it was the right thing to do. And at the end, you find yourself in your mid-20s trying to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. And you haven't taken that time to really enjoy and figure out how you could have gotten the most out of that experience. So it might be a bit dramatic, but that's what we mean by best fit. So we really, really, really want you to, go from there. Where did you guys want to weigh in on that for a second? What does that mean to you?
1 hour later.
Go.
Okay. So yeah, what Coach Peter is saying is 100% true. And I want to give everyone kind of a little cautionary tale, basically, of my experience, which was a lot more like that second scenario Coach Peter mentioned rather than the first, right? I went to a school. I thought that I should go Division I. I didn't know anything about what Division II or Division III were. I just was like, I want to go D1 because that's the best. I did not look at a lot of schools, did not talk to a lot of coaches, went to a school that would take me. And I ended up bottom of the depth chart, walk on, lots of student debt. And I had a very tough swimming career. I almost stopped swimming completely halfway through my junior year. I had to kind of rediscover my joy of swimming. And I honestly, I joke around a little bit, but what I learned the most from that program was how not to coach. That was because I did not do my due diligence. I didn't look for a school that was truly the right fit for me. So I would recommend doing the work here and looking at all of those aspects and how you're going to be a fulfilled athlete, right? Because I'll tell you, being one of 3 or 4 people that had to stay at home when the rest of your team went to a travel meet it does not feel great. So I would definitely listen to what everyone here has to say about that.
Yeah, I kind of looked at it through a different lens. I think kind of looking at our own personal approaches is a good way to kind of frame how we approach our college recruiting process. I looked at it as where could I get the best collegiate degree? I had a lot of options to go to a lot of different schools, and my decision was very much based on not just where the fit was right in terms of athletics, but also where I could get the best academic degree graduating from the school that I could graduate from. And so that was a big piece of how I picked my school and how I chose my process. And that's also how I tend to guide athletes is
well,
you're going to Yeah,
let's be clear. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you ended up not being able to swim all 4 years, right?
correct. And so that was a big part of something that my coach said. You want to be making sure that you're looking at somewhere you would be happy being an alumni from, and something that if you can't swim, you'd still be happy attending. And I loved every minute of going to college, even when I wasn't swimming. Granted, I stayed involved with the team and I kept coaching, so that was still part of it. But my career ended the fall of my junior year at training camp, and so I strongly recommend finding a place where you feel comfortable that you can go even if you're not swimming. And so that was a big piece of my decision process. And that's something I do encourage a lot of athletes to look at, is where you would like to go regardless, like where you feel like this fits regardless, not where it looks. And I didn't have Instagram, so there was no social media in the 90s. So it was more, but there was still a lot of social pressure to pick a place that people would like. Thankfully, my group of friends cared a lot about where you went academically more than where you went athletically. So that did drive a little bit of my decision as well.
Jay, what about
I'll I'll flip the question back to the room. Peter, you used the word fulfillment. Just kind of thinking about, and I was in a situation similar, right? You hear the big Power Five, Power Four names, right? The top 25 schools, and you want to chase after those. But can you talk a little bit about the the difference in potential fulfillment of just walking on at the biggest school that you could possibly make it to versus potentially going to a program where you could be a top contributor and have what I assume would feel like more fulfillment?
you? Yeah, I mean, I think the experience you have is going to shape what you get out of it, right? Like, so again, if we at the end of the day, yes, you want a college degree, and we want you to have a really good degree, like Coach Alex said. You want to make a decision that's going to help you get a degree you're really proud of, but you're going to get more out of contributing for a team than you are by riding the coattails of the team. Like, you are going to leave the sport with the lessons, the values, the things that an employer wants you because of what you contributed to something, not because of what you were like necessarily a part of, right? And that may, like, there's some nuance there, right? So you may get some brand recognition right away or something like that, but you over your career, over your life, that's going to even out. It's going to become something that's a little bit more noticeable. So going somewhere that you actually are able to contribute is one of the really good ways to define a good fit. There's lots of tools out there. We talked about the Swim and Tell. SwimCloud offers a ton of resources, but being realistic about where you are. And I think what we've kind of coached people to do is look at, where are you if you were to drop 1.5 to 2% from your best times, right? And from where you are right now. So yeah, you want to get a little bit faster, and 1.5 to 2% is quite a bit in swimming. And certainly you can exceed that. That's not what we're trying to say, but that's a good indicator of like, hey, if I dropped a little bit, would I be a contender at this school, right? So to put some practical legs around it is where you are right now, get a little bit faster, not a lot faster. If you're sitting here in the 100 freestyle as a guy and you're at 45 seconds in the 100 freestyle, which is a good swim, right? That's a really good swim. And you're looking at the top schools. Keep in mind the 400 free relay from our top 10 schools, you're averaging 41 seconds. That means they probably have 6 guys on the team that can go 41 seconds if they had to, right? So you're not in the ballpark. A 1.5% drop isn't getting you there, right? Now, do we want you to shoot for that? Do we want you to aim for that? Of course we do. And there's going to be times and places where you get recruited, especially if you're a sophomore and you've got more season to go. But it really, really important to look at, okay, where do I have a realistic chance of contributing and being a part of the team so I get the value of being a part of this entire experience? And I think that is so important.
Yeah, I think everybody hears the story of the kid that was the walk-on that moves forward and wants to be inspired by that. And I've definitely had athletes that have gone and been a walk-on and been team captain and had an amazing journey through that and never made their travel team. But they'll be the first to tell you they not being able to be on the conference team, not being able to make those pieces really did kind of hurt on the inside. It didn't minimize their experience on the time, but it's very hard to make it 4 years in that walk-on or low scholarship role.
Let me also say that even if you're somewhere and you're coming into a program where you're earmarked to be on that conference team, right? I'm coming in as their number 2 breaststroker, right? You still have to do the work when you get there. There is no guarantee, right?
Mm-hmm.
College swimming is about performing at the highest level. Like, they're going to make the fastest team. It's very similar to what we do with our state team here at Bowls. Like, we're taking the fastest 4 people. short of an egregious issue with something going on, just like in college, short of an egregious discipline issue, right? We're going to take the fastest 4 people possible in the event. That's what the team deserves. That's what the program deserves. That's what they're going to do. So if you show up and it takes you a year to adjust and you're not swimming your best, like, doesn't mean you're guaranteed a spot there. And that is going to affect your fulfillment and how it is. Now, you can respond to that by showing up with gratitude, showing humility, showing up with the work ethic, showing up with all those things and come back and be better, just like you should if you had a great season. But you can respond to that in a really good way, but it will change how you are fulfilled in that program. And I think what gets really tricky is if you go somewhere thinking, hey, I'm just going to work my way up. A lot of people think that if I just get around really fast people, then I'm going to be faster. It can add a lot of pressure to how you show up. A lot. It can make it feel like you constantly have to be better. That anything you do isn't good enough. It can really be a negative place in our sport, and we really want you to find the place that fits really well for you. So,
All right. Well, so in the interest of brevity, let's look at a couple schools and kind of talk about what it takes to be at those schools. So one of the things a lot of athletes, we talked about this last time, was being in a Power 5 and what that looks like. So I'm going to pull up a Power 5 here so that we can just look at this. And Peter, why don't you start here? I'm going to pull up the men's 200 freestyle.
awesome. So we're looking at Ohio State. It's a great program. They've been on the rise for a little while. They've had consistently been top 10, top 20 finishes. So one of the things we want to do when we look at this is it's easy to go to their times report, like Coach Alexis just did, and she's going to pull up their last season, right? 200 free, and they're going to show you your top times for that. Now this is pretty simple. There's a lot of guys that obviously swim the 200 free throughout the year, so it's really easy for me to look at this and go, oh my gosh, number 10 is 137. What is that, 137.6?
Yep.
Again, that's a good swim on the guy's side. You're a winter juniors qualifier, right, at 137.6. But that 10th place guy on that team is probably not either A, on the travel team, or B, that's not his best event. So this is a little bit misleading to look at this information this way. What you really want to do is look at those top 3 or 4. So we're looking at 135.5 or better. Okay, that's kind of what they're looking for. It looks like they got a pretty clear line at that 134.6 or better. But let's do this. Coach Alexis, if you can clip on right from here, just click on Big Ten Conference Championships. So you'll notice that top time. Top time right there. Yep. It's going to take us straight to their conference meet. Now we're going to go find the 200 free right over there. And we're going to find out, look, a guy from Ohio State actually, that's a final. Looks like he won. Yep, 132.0. So he won that by 100, right? So their best swimmer won their conference meet. Their second best swimmer was top 8. Their third best swimmer is somewhere that it. He's 24th, so he snuck into the C final and managed to go that 137.5. I'm willing to bet his prelim swim was actually a little bit faster, and he faded a little bit. And Mari McDonald, right, 22 right there. Yeah, it's 137.0. So their conference team, their third swimmer selected their conference team, the 200 freestyle, went 137.0. And again, I'm not sure if that was even his best event. His best event might be the 500 free or the mile that he just happened to do. That was his third event. But you're walking in the door thinking, hey, if I'm, I can easily compete with this. I'm not sure. Yeah, they took this guy that was there. Did they have anybody else below that? Yeah. A couple guys down there Charlie Clark is their miler, right? I know that much. So that's his third event or fourth event. So these guys might even be their best event. So it's a little bit misleading when you're looking at these times to figure out where you belong. Just looking at the time report from the university is not going to give you an accurate description what they're looking for. They want to recruit guys that are going to score points at that conference level. So they're looking for 135.4 or better. And that's where they're really going to be focused. And like I said, when you're only bringing in a class of 8 or 10 people, you're going to be able to find a couple of swimmers internationally or in the U.S. that can do that. So those Power 5 schools are going to be pretty exclusive in terms of what they're recruiting. They know that you need to get a little bit faster, but that's kind of what they're looking for is people headed in that direction, right?
Yep. And the women kind of look the same. So if you're looking at the women's side,
yep,
you're going to see that same thing. They've got a 143. Top 4 is 147.
Well, and notice too, you can look at the result, look at the meet, look where the meet results come from, right? Division I women's championship, right? Then it's the Ohio State Invitational. That's going to be probably their December meet. Tim Welsh Classic, I think it's their December meet. Ohio State Invitational. So only 2 of their swimmers in the 200 freestyle went their top time of the season from, their championship meets. It looks like on here. Right. I don't know if the Ohio State Invitational might also be their last chance meet. It's hard to tell.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been.
But again, if you click on like the Big Ten.
Yep. That's always, I would click right on that meet and go straight to the 200 free for women. And you're going to find she was not even in the top 10 there.
Mm.
Do they have anybody scoring there? Yeah, right there.
Yeah, they had a girl that's fit.
Oh, there she is. There she is. Yeah. So 144. So again, they're looking for somewhere in that 146, 144 range. For somebody that's going to make an impact on their team. Let's try a different school. Let's try somebody.
Okay, we'll go down to like another mid-major. This is just UNLV. It's another combined program, similar funding, similar everything.
Yeah. So again, the times give you a good idea who's on the team, right? That really helps, even though you can't really see the time. So this is men's 200 free. All right, so we're starting with a 135, and just for comparison, 10th place 143.9, right? So we've got so
that's
again,
definitely a dual meet.
Yeah, that's definitely doing me. So that's not even so really. It looks like their athletic conference meet. They had somebody at a 141.0 in there. I'm looking at the meet results there.
Yeah, I can get this.
Hold on.
Oh.
Yep. Second.
Got a different meet order. Hang on. Okay. So again, looking at their conference championships, you're looking at they don't score till C final. That's why you see they only score to B final at the WAC. That's why you see these exhibition athletes in the C final.
Yeah. Nice. All right, let's do another one.
Okay. This next one is just women. This is going to be University of Akron. So it's just a women's program. Again, another mid-major.
Cool picture. I like the champion.
Yeah, you gotta like the championship thing. Again, looking at the 2 free.
Okay, so on sides 148. So they've got at least 5 girls on the team that are under 150.0. It looks like, yeah, click on their championships. 2 free.
Find it. All the championships have different orders now.
Akron, so they have a girl at 8th.
And they're scoring to 16th, so that's where they're looking at. You can kind of look at prelims and see 150.9, kind of that 16th spot.
So their fastest girls weren't even all their fastest 200 free time. Not all of them were on their conference squad for their conference meet. So again, that ranking on times is a little misleading, right? It doesn't tell you a full picture of who's actually swimming that event at a championship meet for them. It'd be the same thing as their high school team here, who is selected for the meet in those events. That's what you're looking for as far as being able to contribute. Jake, would you say is that what we're trying to talk about? Like being able to contribute is, are you selected for the events at a championship meet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think Swim Intel does a good job of also putting it in those terms, is that we're trying to score at conference, whether that be A or B final. Most schools will tell you that to be recruited by them, you need to have at least 1 or 2 times walking in the door that you're going to be scoring at the B or A final level for them.
And then just for contrast, here's Division II. We talk about kind of that difference and kind of how that affects. And this is a good option for a lot of people. Division II, Tampa is combined program as well. And you see there's a little bit of a drop off in terms of those times, a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then on the men's side, again, they're looking more at their NCAA team. When you're talking Tampa, they did win this year. So they're pretty aggressively looking at how they're placing at NCAAs. And you'll see that.
Well, you've got 4 under 137. So you've got pretty solid,
it's still quite competitive.
Yeah. You've got 4 guys that are summer juniors or better, right? Like relatively, right? And nice. And then
and then lastly, I have a Division III school. This is Grinnell. It's a very elite private school in Iowa. That's their pool. It's quite nice. But again, if we look at that 200 free Division III, then this is where you're seeing that compromise between athletics and academics in a different lens.
Got it. Yeah. So you got 141s in there, went down to 145s. Where's click on their conference championship meet real quick. Midwest Conference Championship. Times. So that's not the meet though.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So that's
my bad.
So you clicked conference and it showed all their top times from their conference. But I think what we really want to hammer home here is going to the meet itself and seeing what's going on at that meet, how competitive you are at that event. That's what's going to be something you could talk about with the coach and what they're looking for, right? They're just trying to put together their best conference team or NCAA team, depending on their goals, And that's one of the things we told people when you do reach out to a coach. What are your goals? Do they lead with, I want an NCAA title, I want to be top 10 NCAAs, or are they talking about their conference? That tells you which meet they're focused on, so that you can start to figure out where you fit there. So we were looking at
And so like this is Division III, this is Grinnell. Again, this has a little bit more, but they're going to be looking, when you're looking at a Division III school, it's really important to look at under the about on Swim Info, scrolling down and taking a look at what they're looking at academically, because this is going to be a much different academic picture than maybe a Division II or Division III one school might be.
All right, scroll up a little bit and go kind of slower there. So that information is under
Admissions.
Yep. Go on, and so go back to, I think you had, but yeah, I think you can see it. We'll let other people figure it out. Like you can figure out all the information's right there on some the times, and you can easily find, figure out who is on their times report that's actually scoring at their conference meet. And I'll tell you a lot more about what a good fit is than just what their times are.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good way to start a Use SwimCloud. Our next talk is going to be a little bit more about how to start the process and communicate with coaches directly. But thank you very much.
Awesome.